Okay, we are back for another powder coating video here today. Probably the last powder coating video I'm going to do. We're going to do rifle bullets. So I've got the Casabella here, mini ice cube trays. They used to be dark blue like this one. They then made light blue, and now I don't think they're making them. So they're pretty hard to find. These are pretty much perfect for, I use them for 35 caliber rifle bullets. Pretty much just the right amount. Here, let's see if I can fish one of these out. So pretty much, you know, it's going to be hard to tip these over. Yet if they were a little bigger, you'd probably get rubbing on the sides, and little smaller, probably flipping over. And so these are some LBT. They're experimental bullets. It's custom mold. I'm not sure if I'm crazy about no lube groove. I'm going to try it. It's a mix of these are going to be 230, and there's some longer ones in here, 240 grain. We're going to do Ford light blue, Ford dark blue, and some in ruby red here. I haven't really shaken these up yet. Just not very much at all. Probably enough just to fill these two trays up and load up the oven. I got some new BBs here. This is what I've been using. I get pretty good results with these ones. I don't know if there's a difference. Shiny plastic see-through BBs. I've heard people using dollar store plastic beads with great results. I don't know. This is what I'm using. This is what works. So there you go. So let's shake these up and see what we get here. So I'll start with the light blue. Same technique. I'm going to use this broken tub. And let's see. I mean, we're almost there already. And I didn't change the powder. I actually, I don't have a ton of powder in here. It should be okay. So let's get a tub to put these in. Let's actually make a little space here. All right. So let's see what's going on. Yeah, a little more shaken, I think, on this one. These are looking pretty good. Again, the Teflon tape on here is just to basically minimize moisture and keep it airtight in there, because I store all this stuff in a storage unit. So they look pretty good. You know, before we put these in the tray, the thing about these trays, like I mentioned, well, this is the Casabella brand. It says Be Cool right there, Casabella. These are for 35 caliber rifle. They fit really good. They get ratty after a while, and I don't know. I mean, I actually don't think they're making these anymore. What I use is a brush like this. It's a wire brush, dollar store. Probably $1.50 now with inflation. But I'll just, I'll actually put this up against the wall and just kind of try and get as much of this stuff out as I can. I'm not going to do it right now because these are ready to go in. But basically what I'm saying is these things have a lifespan. This dark blue one is probably, I don't know, close to 10 years old now. And I've actually thrown one of these out that I got in the same batch. They get brittle after a while. They get brittle from heating them up over and over, and then the powder coating makes it a little heavier, and that, I think, expedites the whole death process. So there you go. But let's put these in. So again, that's really all there is to it. And this is what I do for rifle. And I'm not going to tap them unless I need to, but I'm going to be more likely to tap a bullet off if they're going in the tray than on the parchment, because when all the junk gets in here, I don't know, it's kind of, I cleaned these recently, but it builds up in there and it gets to be a real pain. So, you know, you got to kind of figure it out and do what you can. And again, this is easy for me because these are 35 caliber rifle bullets for both 35 Remington and 35 Wheeling. I'm going to shoot these in. Soon to be 358 Winchester too is my next thing, but not yet. But so, you know, if you shoot a bigger caliber, it's going to probably touch the sides. Now, I don't, even if I'm touching the sides a little, it doesn't seem to have an effect on the PC. You'd have a hard time knocking these things over. Really, I don't think it's possible. If I have a real long bullet, they can tip a little bit and lean onto another one. But if I had like, I don't know, just a much smaller caliber, if anyone's casting for like a 270 or I don't know if, I know people cast for 30 caliber. I bet you that'd be okay, but less than 30, you might have a problem. Bigger than 35 caliber or really 358, 360, I think you'd have a problem. But maybe they make these in different diameters from different brands, and that could be worth looking into. But that's not my problem. I've got these 35 caliber. I was at a thrift store years ago. I actually never saw anybody doing this technique. I was just frustrated standing up bullets like these on parchment paper and then playing this balancing act to get to the oven, getting them in there without tipping any over, and then at the last second tipping over a bunch. And well, you get the idea. You just kind of so I was at a thrift store again. This was probably 8-10 years ago. I don't even know now, but I just saw them and I'm like, you know, I'll bet you that could work if it can stand the heat and if they last. And it's been working. So if anyone else has any other methods for standing up rifle bullets, I'd be glad to know. I'm always looking for new, better ways. Getting kind of sloppy with putting them in there. Anyways, so yeah, and again, I don't think Casabella is making these anymore. I've actually looked for them online, whether it be Amazon, eBay, any of the like home and beauty, Bed Bath Beyond type places. No one's got them. And literally, it's been a couple of years, so I don't know what's going on. But so I got my little stash here, and that's about it. And when that's gone, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So we're just going to load these up. And what else do we got here? For dark blue. And then just kind of see where it goes. And then we've got also some of the NOE 45, actually it's the 452, 232 hollow point, flat point, cut point mold. I've got the flat point and the cut points in the oven right now. That's the ticking noise. And also the Seiko, what is the number? Mold number 955. It's a 255 grain, kind of like an old Colt bullet. I did some last time, and again, I'm just testing the heavy 45 ACP loads, and so those are the bullets. Again, these are the rifle. We're testing out these. Okay, so forward, dark blue, which is kind of like more like medium blue. Maybe I should just wipe this out a little bit here. Again, what I do if I'm testing bullets is I'm going to use a few different colors just to, you know, just so I can separate the loads, basically. And if you ever have, you know, you do some ladder load testing, it's a good way to go. So these are looking good. Okay, that's the for dark blue, mostly babies, but they're in there, trust me. So let's see if we can get some out. Okay, whoops. So it's interesting, the test we did last time with the oven, we ran the oven according to Eastwood's temperature rating of preheat the oven to 450, then cut the oven after you get a flow, and I wasn't really sure what that would be, so I gave it a time of 10 minutes. And at the end of the video, the last video I did, which you can see on the channel there, I said it didn't make a difference. Well, after having time to examine some of the bullets, it did make a difference. It kind of, I guess you'd say it speed cooked the paint on there. And so I got some globbing that kind of cooked right on. And so the difference was, well, actually twofold. One thing is I could have had too long of a time at 450, or it's just not really conducive for powder coating bullets to follow their instructions. Now, I'm actually not sure what their instructions are for. I'm guessing it's at the very least for steel, because they show a lot of car parts and stuff. But just so you all know, powder coating goes back to the end of World War II. And people might think, well, they weren't powder coating lead. Actually, they were. Not in the late 40s or early 50s when it really hit. But if any of you all do any fishing out there, you probably know the lead head jigs, like, you know, the curly tail, like Mr. Twister, or actually any kind of jig head, bucktail. It's a lead head that's powder coated. And when I was a kid in the 70s, we would fish with Mr. Twister, curly tail spinnerbaits, and the lead head jig was powder coated. And I don't know, early 70s, I'm sure they were out before that. So this is not new. Although the common technique for powder coating jig heads, which I've done as well, is you heat up the jig head, you dunk the heated lead head from the hook in the paint, and then you put all that in the oven on a little jig, and you cook it up at, you know, you cure it. But so it's been used for a long time on lead. Here, let's get this ruby red. I actually don't even think we have enough bullets to fill both of these at all. So that's okay. These are all the rifle bullets I did. I actually have a ton of 45 though. So that's what, let's shake it up a little longer. Give it a little more shaking in there. But you can see I'm not doing a lot of shaking here. So anyways, the history there of PC powder coating goes back a ways, and I doubt that they ever thought that people would powder coat bullets, but powder coating lead is not new. And if any of you fish with lead head jigs or anything and you cast a lot and you're hitting the rocks, you know it's a pretty durable finish. So, okay, let's get these down here, and I think the oven's just about ready to pop with the new batch. And I think what we got in there is the cut point 452. So, I'm going to spread these out. I really don't even need to put 2 trays on here. But again, this is a mold from LBT. Beryl Smith sent me this. I actually ordered a 250 grain for the 35 wheeling, and for some reason we had a miscommunication, and he thought I wanted a mold for my 35 Remington, and he sent me this. And when I said, hey, that's not really what I ordered, he's like, well, just keep it and give me some feedback on how the no lube groove design works when you powder coat it. And I assume it's fine. I mean, I've actually read things, and I don't know, but I've read that it can increase the pressure, which would be fine if you know it's going to increase the pressure, because you need pressure to make the load work. You don't want to be over pressure. Under pressure isn't good. But if you know it has the potential to increase pressure, you're going to work up your load anyways with a new bullet. So you just pay attention and adapt to that. Yeah, I mean, we're just about out of bullets here. We're not even going to fill this one tray. I typically like lube groove mold designs, just because, in my thinking, you just don't know what's going to go on in the future. And the way the world's been going lately, we might be lubing bullets with the fat from a bear we just shot or something. Okay, that's all we got for bullets. So I'm going to cut the camera. We're going to come back, and we're going to do some other ones. Okay, we are back. And last time we had some problems with the smoked chrome, which Eastwood smoke chrome, new smoke chrome, I think is what they call it, which is a new color for me. Silver base I've used before with great results. And so we're gonna, and so last time I had a big problem coating with smoke chrome, and the video didn't come out. So this time we are going to look at some possible reasons what the problem was. So last time I had all my smoke chrome powder and BBs in this tub, and let me show you. This is half of what was in there. And so, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches of PC powder and BBs on the bottom. And I put some bullets, I just put bullets in here. These are the NOE. The mold is the 452, 232 hollow point. So these are the flat point, 250, 255 grain. It's turning into one of my favorites. So I took out about half of the powder and half of the BBs. So here's the point. Some powders, and I'm talking about Eastwood, you can get away with a ton of powder and a ton of BBs in the tub, and you're going to coat fine. A good example is Ruby Red, Ford Light Blue, even this silver base. Let's see actually how much is in here right now. So those are the Seiko 955 mold bullets. They're brand new, newly cast. That has a lot of powder and BBs in there. I'm going to bet these coat pretty good, and even half of the smoke chrome is probably going to be tricky. You know, this is how you find out, though. I don't know. We're going to see what happens at the end of this video, and when we do our bullet review at the end, how they come out. But these are the two this is a pretty easy color to coat with, silver base. This is probably one of my trickiest to work with right now. So let's, again, check it out. I haven't shaken them up yet. Let's see how it does. And I don't know how many bullets I got in there. Probably, I don't know, 20, 30 maybe. In the oven, we got plenty of time. So, again, I use a broken, well, actually, this isn't a broken tub. This is a good tub. But I put another tub on the bottom, and I'm going to shake it up and swirl. And so, oh, another thing with BBs, something to consider about adding more BBs than less. I don't know if you can see now, just with the shaking, how many BBs are in there. You may be aware of, so here's the BBs I'm using. You may be aware of different texts on bullets out there, cast bullets, and how many writers feel the bullet base is really important, not to ding or misshapen it. And so it's kind of hard when you're shaking up bullets to not ding the bases. So my attitude is a little extra plastic BBs in there can't hurt if it's going to, I don't know if cushion's the right word, but just, you know, eliminate bullets smashing into each other. At least if a bullet smashes into a plastic BB, it's less likely going to get a ding. Let's see how we do. Okay, we're not going to look at those yet. Now let's do the same thing with the silver base. Now let's check out the silver base here. You can see those look really good. And in my experimenting, typically more powder per bullet ratio makes it harder to coat with hard to coat with paints. Silver base isn't one of them. Now, okay, now let's look at the new smoke chrome. You can see there's a lot of bullet metal exposed there. And I cut the amount of powder in half because I have found that can help. One example was when I first started using vermilion orange, I couldn't get the stuff to coat at all. And I had a ton of powder in there. I put all the powder and BBs in a separate container, took 1 level teaspoon, bam, in this size tub, about a handful of BBs, handful of bullets, and they came out perfect. And that led me to this hypothesis, which seems to be playing out, that if you're using a hard to coat with powder, go with less powder, more BBs, you know, whatever bullet amount you're using for the tub, and see if that doesn't help. Some powders just are not going to work well. Copper penny, at least Eastwood's copper penny, is a good example. So this smoke chrome might be hard to deliver the goods here. Let's see if we can get in. See what we got going now. And that's a little better. It's still not as good as the silver base. And so look at that. And I didn't really do a ton of shaking. So the point of the last video and this video, I guess this video is a little bit of a follow-up. Find the easiest colors to coat with. And if you're like me and you like more than a few colors, if you're running, you know, ladder loading tests or whatnot, color coding them can help. The goal was silver base was to be the freshly cast bullet look. Smoke chrome was to be the old lead look. And smoke chrome is probably not one I'm going to get again. You know what? Let's start laying out the silver base on here and see how they look. And you know what? In all fairness, I have a lot more powder and BBs in here. So, but they just come out pretty easy. I mean, it comes out easy, but honestly, if you want easy for Eastwood, Ford Light Blue, Ruby Red, Ford Dark Blue is kind of in there too. Ford Dark Blue, it wants less powder in the tub. I've had excellent results with Navy. I know some people I've talked to said that they can't get it to work, but I thought it was super easy. Again, new piece of parchment paper here, so we're gonna play the little balancing act here. But you know, it all takes time to do this. So if you're using colors that are super hard to coat with, it's your time. You know, I mean, you do what you want to do, what you need to do. But to me, there's always choices out there that makes it easier or harder. And I guess it just depends. But so I do like the idea of adding more BBs to kind of cushion the bullet bases. If you've read any of the work of F.W. Mann, he wrote a really famous text. I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's called the Path of the Bullet, or the Flight of the Bullet from barrel to target. And he does extensive testing in the early 1900s. And it was pretty cutting edge at the time. I mean, it was cutting edge enough. Okay, it was pre-World War I, right before World War I. I think it was 1910, around there. And the German army studied it in hopes of gaining some info. And just, you know, to keep things in perspective, I mean, we may have developed the 30-06, but we got sued by Germany for ripping off the idea. So, you know, they knew something. And I don't know how much they learned from F.W. Mann, but in any event, my whole point with that was he goes on and on and on about how much more important it is for the bullet base to be as perfect as can be. And the nose of the bullet, I mean, I'm sure if you bend the thing, it's going to, like, not be great. But the base is really important. So, and that's another thing about standing up the bullets here. When you get a flow, so also in the last video, the part of the test was, does the temperature of 450 to start create a better gravitational flow? It actually did not. I think the heat was too high, and I probably had it on too long. I left it on for 10 minutes at 450. So basically, any kind of little bumps of powder, you probably can't see that in the video. Any bumps in the powder at 400, they'll flow down with gravity, and it comes out nice and even. At 450, it cooked it on right there on the spot. And so my whole point with this, what I'm getting at, is to stand them up and create a natural flow from the gravity pulling the powder down. It also improves the bases, especially if you have plain base bullets, because the bottom line is you're going to get some powder on the end, and when you do this, you probably know you get some PC powder debris on the bases. I don't know how you all size bullets, but I use Lee push-through sizers, and when you use one of those, at least when I do on these bullets, any kind of debris on the base, it when you size it and push it through, all of that, it might be just barely hanging on, but you just rub the base off. All that stuff comes off after you've sized it. And the bases are damn near perfect. I mean, if you had some dings from powder coating like this, usually at that point, you don't know. You don't see any of that stuff there. So, there's also some, these are a mix, the Seiko and the NOE. And some of these didn't coat great. Like, let me show you, see if I can show you this one here. Like that one didn't coat that good. So I can just put it back in the tub. Again, though, the silver base had not twice as much powder, but probably another quarter amount of the powder that the smoke chrome does. And the smoke chrome is just hard to get to stick. Actually, let's finish off the silver base. We have some more in here. So that's one thing. The FW Man text. And if you want the book, it's free online. All you have to do is punch in F.W, man, MANN, punch in Flight of Bullet PDF. In the PDF, the book comes up in PDF form. The unfortunate part is he had a lot of pictures in the book, but maybe you can gather pictures from I think the book is 1909 actually. Pictures from 1909. If you're expecting like some kind of selfie quality, forget it. It's just not there. So we're just going to put the rest of these out, whatever they came out like. Because even if they're not perfectly coated, by the time you get a flow, and at 45, basically 45 ACP plus P velocities is what I'm going to run these at, you're not going to get any kind of issues. You're just not. I've actually, with 35 Remington and a 140 grain, also 150, 140, 150 grain cast, I've gotten up to 2475, 2550 feet per second. No leading, good accuracy, no nothing. I mean, it's actually been kind of tricky to retrieve bullets, but the few that I have got, you can see the rifling in the bullet bases, and the PC is still there. So I kind of think that speaks for itself. But all this stuff is kind of cutting edge. Whoops, look at all the powder on that one. Go find a book, on piecing bullets. Why hasn't Lyman, that's a good question. Why hasn't Lyman, with their cast bullet manual, why haven't they ever done anything? I remember Handloader magazine, it must be about 5 years ago or something, did an article on piecing bullets. And honestly, I was just getting into piecing bullets, and I was like, wow, you guys are like totally doing it wrong. And they went on and said, actually, I don't even remember what they said. I don't recall it being favorable. And I do remember they used Harbor Freight paint, which, God, if you want to get an instant failure at PC bullets, do that. That'll get you with a failure. Here, let's get the smoke chrome going. But, so, it's kind of, my whole point is, it's hard to really know what to do if you don't know how to get results. You kind of have to do the testing yourself. And until some people, big companies, Lyman or Seiko, geez, why doesn't Seiko come out with a cast bullet manual? Or Lee? You'd think one of these companies would also put together a powder coating kit. But no, it's all up to us. So here's the test. Let's see what the smoke chrome is going to do for us. Actually, it doesn't look bad at all. That's pretty good. I mean, it took a little more effort, and it doesn't... Actually, it's not bad at all. I can see a couple of bare spots on some of the bullets, but I would buy that again. Well, I'll tell you what. The end of the video, when we do the bullet review, I will be able to give a definitive answer at that point. But these, I can tell you right now, they're looking pretty good. Again, the last video I did was the first video I ever used smoke chrome. And I'll tell you, man, I had a bear of a time. I made a mistake. Basically, and again, it's not the same for all powders. I put too much powder in, and so I use these tubs. All the tubs I use are this size, whatever size that is. I put too much powder in one of these tubs, and I usually put, I don't know, maybe up to there of bullets. So if I have powder down to there, that amount of bullets, a couple of handfuls of BBs. My general rule of thumb with powder is start lower, like a teaspoon, and then add up, meaning add more. But for some reason, last time I did this video, I threw a bunch of powder in there. And I just, you know, I knew better, but it's not like I powder coat bullets every week. And I try to cast in bigger batches. You know, I've been going through a lot of these NOE and Seiko 955 45 auto bullets because I've been basically working on a 45 ACP plus P 45 super type of grizzly bear load, 250 grain, and the goal is 1,000 feet per second. And once I get there without issues and I have accuracy, then I want to get up to like 1,100 feet per second, and that's when I convert my pistol over to full 45 super, which I haven't done yet. If any of you guys out there know, there's some things you do. It's not just changing the recoil spring and the mainspring. I just last week fitted a new firing pin stop, a flat radius firing pin stop, and also added a 25-pound mainspring. And some people say you need a heavier extractor. Some people say you need to go 24-pound recoil spring or heavier. But a lot of people say when you go flat radius firing pin stop, which is the original John Browning design. The Army changed John Browning's design of the firing pin stop, I want to say 1918 or something, because too many guys had trouble racking the slide. And that was the easy way to fix it. And what it does is it makes it easier to rack the slide, but it increases the recoil because of the speed of the slide. So, in any event, the flat radius firing pin stop is apparently the real way to go. So that's, it's a lot of stuff to test. And one thing I learned early on about, I guess you could say, minor gunsmithing is don't do a bunch of changes all at once. Do one thing and then see what happens. Because if you do a bunch of things all at once and something isn't working right, how are you going to track it down? So where it stands is this next time I go shooting, the only change I'm going to test is the flat radius firing pin stop. I have a 25-pound mainspring in there. I have a, geez, is it 20 or 22 pound recoil spring? Whatever I have, it's been working pretty well. I haven't opted for the heavier recoil spring yet. Just doing a lot of study on it. It's interesting how many people don't really know the changes that you need to make to go to 45 Super. And it's not a big deal. They're not that tricky. I mean, fitting a firing pin stop is not that hard. But it's definitely, you know, I think there's some web page online somewhere that says, oh, it's an $8 switch. And yeah, I get it. The website's older, but it's basically saying, change out your recoil spring. And, you know, it's more to it than that. Okay, that's all we got. So, at this point, I feel pretty good about the smoke chrome. Last video, and I thought I was recording and I wasn't. I'm kind of a newbie at the video thing, but I must have been shaking for like, I don't know, a total of 15 minutes, and it just didn't look anything close to this. So what was the difference? There's the powder that's left that I had in there. Now let's put the BBs in. Okay, look at the amount of powder there. Okay, now let's look at the amount of powder I had in the other tub. Let's see if I can find the thing. Where is it? Okay. Actually, you know what we'll do? Here's what we just shook up in. This is what I took out of this tub that I tried to get results with last time. All of that extra. All of that extra. This is what caused me powder coating hell. I couldn't get results because I had too much powder. And my angle is, whoops, there goes the bell. In order to get the powder to stick, you need static charge, right? You need to create dust. And if you got too much of this powder in there, how are you going to create a dust when it's all, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, we will be back. Okay, here's a look at what we got done tonight. You can see on the left side there. Here, let's move the camera over a little bit. Actually, let's give a little more of a close-up here. Okay, so the first three are the Seiko 955 silver base. Okay, then the next three are the smoke chrome, and they actually came out good and they powdered well. I'm gonna call it a good powder to use. You just not as easy as, you know, Ford Light Blue and Ruby Red, but I don't know what is. So they're about as easy as it gets. If you're new to powder coating and you want pretty much instant success, I would say for Eastwood, Ford Light Blue, Ruby Red, that would be probably the easiest. Then Ford Dark Blue, Navy Blue, which is kind of like a purple. Silver base isn't bad. But, you know, if you're starting out, make it easy. Go with Ford Light Blue or Ruby Red, and then just go from there. So, okay, we got the silver base. Then I slide over the smoke chrome. Then we got the smoke chrome, and that's the NOE. The mold is the 452-232 hollow point. These are flat point. You can see this one in the middle here. It's got like a shallow cut point, I guess. And what I found out is if you're casting with that mold, and I think the next video I do, I'm going to do it on some of these bullet molds, but if you're familiar with the NOE hollow point molds, the pins are kind of, obviously they're not loose, but they have to be loose to shake the bullet out. They're held in a bracket. So if you open the mold and the bullets go, and then you're going to close the mold up again to make more bullets, if you hold the mold upside down, you're going to get this recessed. Basically, the pin is sticking up. So when you close the mold, what I've been doing is shaking the pins out, holding the mold upright, letting them kind of reset, I guess. But I missed it on a few of them. So, okay. So those are all smoke chrome. Now we have the silver base again here. And I laid out more of the silver base and smoke chrome so you can see the difference. Smoke chrome looks like old lead. The silver base is kind of like new, fresh cast bullets, but maybe a little shinier. In the back here, we have those LBT 35 caliber rifle bullets. You probably can't tell. There's two different sizes there. The first, light blue, and the red one, I think those are the 230. And if you notice, there's a slight line. And then the next two are the heavier ones. It's also a different taper. The nose is tapered a little different. So moving along here, now we have the Ford light blue, Ford dark blue, which is kind of like a medium blue, and then the navy here, which is really like purple. Those are the NOE 452, 232 hollow point. Those are the cut point. And those go about 240, 245 grain. It's actually an awesome mold. I mean, you get a 230 grain hollow point, the 240, 245 grain cut point, and a 250, 255 grain flat nose. And I don't know what else you want out of a 45 mold. And to be honest, I probably use the hollow points the least, but it's a new mold to me. Now, the last four bullets on the end here, also an LBT test mold here. Not really into the smooth-sided bullets yet. I mean, these are new to me. I've gotten to know Verrill Smith fairly well. And he wanted me to test this mold out. It's a bit heavier than I want for 45 auto. These are dropping. I think the goal was he wanted me to test it out as a 265 grain mold. These are dropping 272 on average. I have a couple in here that are 280 grain, and I'm going to shoot them, but I got to work up some loads. So that's kind of what we did here, and that's the big picture of what we did. So anyways, just a little reminder for some tips here. If you're using a powder and you're not getting results, it's hard to get a good coating, maybe try going less powder. Take some of the powder out, get another container. I'd say you could add more BBs and more bullets, but I'd say, you know what? Open up the container you've been shaking up for 15 minutes and the powder just isn't sticking, and split it in half at least. Or maybe even just start with a new container and add like 1 level teaspoon, couple of handfuls of BBs, and then see what you get from there. Because honestly, the smoke chrome, I just didn't get results last time. And I've been through this with a few other colors before. Vermilion orange was the same way. I couldn't get it to work. And it's easy for me now. So just because light blue, Ford light blue, works a certain way, and it's easy to get a great coating, it doesn't mean other colors can't give you a great coating, but you might find the technique is different, even if it's the same brand. And that's what I found with the smoke chrome. So, all right, that's all I got today. You guys have a great day.